Okay, so here we are. And what I'd like to do, as I said, is I just will introduce a little bit about the title and how that title, which was supposed to be very loose, to try to bring these very divergent practices from different cities in Southeast Asia together in some way. So a kind of loose frame, this idea of interrupting patterns. And then how that kind of, what that meant to me and what that kind of started to mean as we had discussions preparing for the panel. So this title, Interrupting Patterns, I kind of stole from a book I'm reading. It's called Interrupting the City, Artistic Constitutions in the Public Sphere. It's a new Valise edition book edited by three editors. It's very European-based examples. And as I read it, I was very interested in how these ideas might translate to artistic practices in Southeast Asia, especially. To interrupt the city means to arrest the flow or circulation of an urban system. The tactics by which this is achieved may vary, ranging from media offensive street riots to artistic interventions, but each time these activities affect the public sphere, they also make the public sphere. So this is what the book is arguing. Thus, the public domain is constituted by a combination of social, political, and media forces in a constant flux that's constantly being interrupted. So while that book is kind of, and I think any book or any conversation that combines public, the idea of public, which is often one and the same as urban, which then has an artistic strand to that, there is a tone of activism or a question of an activist tone. So I was interested to kind of quiet that in a way and think about interruption patterns in a very micro level. And through our habits as a multitude of different creative practices. And that's inspired, based a bit on my work with Cambodian artists, who over the last decade I've seen extreme change, economic and political change reflected in the physical landscape and everyday activities. And having audiences who are primarily from democratic backgrounds, where public spaces may be considered more free, that react to a lot of the work that is based in public space in Cambodia as if the artists were activists. And following the artists, there's a bit of resistance. I would try to communicate to that, and that they have chosen to be artists rather than activists, and to make image-based work or body-based work, performance work, or be in the public space in a very different way than the activist is, and be in a public space in a different way than the citizen is, even. And so it's with that I'm interested in the idea of the interruption pattern, as I say, a kind of a micro, to create context. I'm sorry, I'm going to return to this. The artists in most cases are not imagining a civic engagement or change at any policy level, which is why they're making art rather than something else, to create in context of censorship, which I think is the case of every artist on the panel today. The interruption pattern at the most micro level is to one's own practice and choice of being an artist, or curator, architect, designer. And as in the case of this panel, what Nani calls slashy, multiple identities, this slash that. And I was struck by what Psalm said, and I'd like to move into that. She said, during political change based in Thailand, the artist is not seen. Activist and the academic are visible. Yes, the activist, the academic is seen during the political change. The artist is not seen. I think this is a really powerful statement. One more step before we go into looking at examples. because I think it starts to relate a bit to some examples I was just speaking with Anand. Interruption pattern comes from neurolinguistic programming, which is absolutely not my field, and I'm not going to pretend to speak to it, but it's interesting just to think for a minute about that. It's trying to interrupt a pattern in order to change behavior. And it can be as simple as a very strange handshake, something you're expecting that goes differently. It shifts our expected mental pathways, and while it's been used in sales theories, which will also, I think, relate to some of the panelists, in sales theories to try to interrupt the way people think in order to try to get something else done. I like to consider it in this way, that it offers some kind of glitch in the brain to allow something else to happen. And I think, like many artist practices, interruption patterns are designed to act on the subconscious level. That art is, intended to reach somehow our subconscious level and to disrupt the way we perceive our space, our public space, largely. So with that, I would like to move into the first question, which what we're going to do is have everybody answer this question because I think it illuminates the context in which the artists are working, the different cities. So we're not really speaking to each city as the title might say, but more the context of in which way they practice in that city. So the first question is, for me, I wanted to know what public means in Chiang Mai, what public means, what public space means in Kuala Lumpur, in Yangon, in Bangkok, and if that is an extension of what public space means to the nation, or if there's any kind of relation also to the region. So I will. The answers might relate to the artist practice or their perceptions of living as a citizen in that space. So I'd like to start with Salam, and then we'll just move down the panel.
I think for me, through my practice, public space for me is in the air also. It's not only the land. Because for me, I work a lot about information, and I think that in order for public to access information is also is what that they should to available to get the useful information. So back to Chiang Mai, with other artists, we try to create a platform, but more online platform that people can access what's going on in the art scene in Chiang Mai and where are the art space and who is who in the art circle. So because I feel like when Chiang Mai called as an art city, but when as an outsider you go to the city, you don't really see that scene very clearly, and you don't know who is who, and you don't know where to go. So I think this kind of information is quite useful for not only art audience, but also the artists or the people who work in the art circle, that to meet, to have someone to meet them and to know what's going on. Not only their own practice, but they know what the others in the same city doing. So that's why we start to do it. And it's like start with the Facebook page and share a lot of information like the events, all kind of events, what's going on, what's happened. And when the artists, Chiang Mai artists have some activities out elsewhere in other city or other country, we also want to have the people in the city or who interest to study about Chiang Mai artists know that what's going on elsewhere too. So it's more like make everyone awake or active in the scene that and easy to meet each other. So later I made kind of art map brochure, and that is a big. As we all see the big change in the city, that the information even is not physical city, but it's active, the physical thing. So people go around in the city more to search for the location of the art and to meet more people, and you see a lot of artists more active and being known by the others, and then they maybe were invited to do some other projects. So for me, information is also the public thing. And also my own practice, I work a lot with landscape. And the one work that's shown at the art stage is about a river, which I think the river itself is also, actually in the past, is also the public place where it was a transportation route that we all can use the route to travel to anywhere, but because the time changed and they blocked the whole route with the huge hydroelectricity, so the route between the north of Thailand to Bangkok is no more possible, and but the city, they knows. Most of the tourists know the river, and then the river become the icon of touristic place. A lot of restaurants, a lot of hotels around the area. So it's become like a view, or it's become it's not active as the place that you see as a public space, but to look at or to get the profit at. It's more like that for now. Yeah.
Thank you. We'll return to some of those ideas, but I would like Nani to go ahead.
Well, hello everyone. Coming from a background which is really more about built environment, the notion of public space tend to be more areas or territory that's actually owned by the local authority and managed by local authorities. So public space tend to be more kind of like highly regulated space. But in Kuala Lumpur, and like many other major city in Asia, Southeast Asia, a lot of the public space, the popular public space tend to be more like shopping malls, transport hub, and they are actually privately owned. So what you get is actually POS, P-O-P-O-S, which is actually public space which is privately owned. So, and what you have is actually an attempt by kind of like private sector to kind of like emulate a space that give a notion that it's really public when it really isn't. It's actually privately owned and also regulated. But there are possibilities that they can actually be less regulated, and also it can actually be a place where people where it becomes a platform for a lot of social engagement, which is a little bit more lax. And we also see sometimes public space need not be an issue of whether it's actually who is actually the ownership, or and also what is the aesthetic value is about. It's really about whether a space can actually, whether it has potential to offer shared space where it actually can host a variety, or rather a huge, a diverse range of activity by a huge, by a really incredible range of people of different types. So we see public space as catalyst for change, be it social, cultural, and economic change. And public space for us is actually extremely important, particularly in actually lending a sense of space, a place, particularly with regards to local and regional distinctiveness, differentiation. And also we feel that when people claim space in public by creating public space, in groups of people can become public, So our notion of public space is always this kind of like about people making engagement. So that's just a general idea, and we can come I'll talk a little bit in detail how I actually deal with it.
Yeah, in Myanmar, the public art is very rare to see, yeah, because of due to the law. There is a one law like even if we gathering over the 5 people, they can arrest it. Yeah. So and if we do the street performance, so they can easily do arrest. So there's a very rare to see the street performance. Yeah. So, and also the authority also think about the public art is only like a very traditional thing, like the rice bowl and like the giant jay or yeah, very traditional figure. So, and yeah, so because we used to live under the dictatorship, yeah. So and then so that's why if we do the street performance, the junta think we are doing the like a demonstration political movement. Oh, yeah, so that's why very rare to see. So that's why me and my colleagues try to organize the festival called Beyond Pressure because at the time we was stay under the pressure. Yeah, but we saw the light. The country will be changed soon. So what the country is change. What kind of art and what kind of the public art we can see. Yeah. So that's why we give the name Beyond the Pressure. So you can imagine the life in the Beyond Pressure. So Beyond Pressure is aimed to make the art in the public space. Yeah. So we organize the event in the shopping mall and then the park and yeah, because we are not really happy to make art in the gallery and yeah, such kind of a private space because we saw every same face, yeah, where even yeah the place, yeah. So that's why we want to try to deal with the people in the different people. Even they have a like a little knowledge about the art, yeah. So some people when we make a performance event in the shopping mall, people didn't understand. After our performance, they try to ask, what is meaning? What is meaning? I said to them, hey, artist, sometimes you don't need to understand. You can feel it, or yeah. So why you always want to be understand it? Yeah, art is not like the 1+1=2. Yeah, so you feel it, and yeah, and also sometimes need to use your brain to be interact, and yeah. So if you understand, like, okay, my art is like, okay, against the wall, why I have to be make a art? Yeah, we can see it just one wall. Yeah, so why we have to be create the art? Yeah. So that is when we dealing in the art in the public space and also like kind of the advocacy to the people and then dealing with the people and then so for example the one of my the performance art I making in the market the night market. So I put in on a like a white canvas on the ground and then I asked to the people, hey, I'm a painter but I'm borrowing to make a painting in my house. So that's why I came here to make a painting in here. But also I'm not really painting myself. Can you help me? And they say, oh, we don't know how to paint. I said, no need to know. And then just give me your hand and food. And so I spread the ink on this, and later I press on it like a footprint and handprint. Yeah. So and then later I show it. Oh, this is the hour we all making all together. Yeah. So and that performance also very short time, like 10 minutes, because if we do like a 30 minutes, the policeman can come and arrest us. That's why we go there and we disappear very quick, yeah.
Mo, could you, so loud, sorry. Could you explain, because we hear a bit about what really is public space, and and we'll hear more about Som's work, that it is a private space, and also we just heard from Nani that maybe the most public of spaces, what public things, the ideal of freedom, the perception of a free public space, that public has something to do with freedom, is happening in terms of in Kuala Lumpur in private space. And you also said, that the park that is a public park. Could you explain how it's not?
Oh yeah, the the park we make it, but it's like is it called to the people park? Yeah, but it's not really public space. Is it like owned by the private? Yeah, so the government give to the license to do the thing in the park. Yeah, so we in Myanmar we lost most of the public spaces. Yeah, so now public space tend to shopping mall, and yeah, so the junta selling to the land to the businessman. Yeah, so also even we lost like a playground like for the football fee and yeah station. We lost a lot of things. Yeah, so that's why we have a such kind of problem. The less the parliament also people try to ask the because like 20 years ago, we have like a playground in our township. So now that's are gone, and yeah, so most of the kid for the kid, yeah, so they don't have a play for the ground, yeah. So and then so yeah, so this is very difficult situation. Also in the people they lost the park, yeah, so that's why they don't know where they have to be going for picnic and yeah. So
Thank you. So I move to Anand. Do you have a microphone?
So I think for me very simple. So public space is opposite from private space. Here also public space. For me, I think the public space for everyone is not public space for Bangkok, from Singapore, from Myanmar. I think it's a definition by your own. Okay. So if you sleep here, private space happens. But if you share space here together, I think public space happens also. Nowadays, private and public is a topic. Also, the online, where is it? Is a private space. So nowadays, maybe some people can, if you imagination, some people then they have their own lab, very big. Some people then have homes or bedroom. Some people in Philippines I visit that have bed to sleep. So where are the public space? That's why I question to my work, and everyone also answer the question in their own work in different way. For my work, I think I go to another way to asking about public and private also, because public space for in different point of views, it's not start from area or towns, but I think it happened from hypothesis or some action from some cultures, and I think sometimes public space is like a virtual, or public space is happen from imaginations. So, example in Facebook, we don't know where is a private area or public space. When you post photo online, and somebody can see, so somebody can comment something what you do or not, and if you're not happy, you delete it. So when it happens something like it in the real life, sometimes we don't know where it's about the real nowadays. Sometimes government also don't know. This is part for everyone, right? But not everyone can use it by their own. So everything have to stay together. So that means public space in detail we need to consider context of from different factors. And that's why I'm starting from detail of that factor first to consider what is this.
I'm going to circle back around to Sam, and if I could ask please to play the short video clip, which is of the making of her most recent work. Go ahead.
เอาของผ่านนี้ไปมันก็จะเป็นรอย
So the next question, this leads to the next question, is having kind of some context about what public or private and public space is meaning in each of the contexts. I'd like to ask in which conceptual and material ways that each of you engage with that space. Some of you make that space, some of you engage with that space. And so starting with some, especially looking at this recent project, if you could just share with us on the making of that project and how it is you perceive and get access to and define this kind of strange public-private space of the land.
Sorry, the image and the sound is not go together when you watch it. But I'm talking about the project a bit that I quite interested how the impact of electricity generation, especially the large scale electricity generation that make a big impact to us, to environment, to the landscape. And two of them is run by Thai government, Authority of Electricity of Thailand, and it's sit on the active fault line, which is made when you change a huge form of the earth, like to make a huge dam or make a big coal mine, is affect. It can create the man-made earthquake because of the place is already sensitive, but when you change a huge form of it, it's make it even more sensitive and fragile. For example, the dam itself is more like it used to be a forest with big rivers, and then when you make a dam, you block the continue of the rivers, and when you block that, you make a huge lake, and the huge lake is contain a huge amount of water, which is very heavy. So is the heavy of the water make how to say, pressing the earth, and it's kind of shaking the whole landscape through that. And also the coal mine that make electricity. You dig on the ground, huge, very big. If you see the whole of my work, you see how big of the land that they have changed. And actually, the area that they make that kind of project used to be a village. The village where a lot of house, maybe rice field and temples, all kind of thing, and they need to relocate to somewhere else and use, and then it's used for the coal mine and produce the coal mine for electricity, and become a private place since that time because it's not easy to get in. So both places that in my videos, it's not easy to ask permission because two of them quite sensitive about the message because they know that the area is quite sensitive and they know that the project that they have done is kind of affect the environment. If it's something wrong, a little bit wrong with that, it can get a big trouble. But anyways,
Can I ask, sorry, how you got permission to the space?
The permission is the thing is this project I got funding from Earth Observatory of Singapore. So it's research institution. So my excuse is to ask them that I can visit the place and capture some image to learn about the earth sign. So that's why they more like, okay, you understand, interested about geography and how the earth form change and things like that. So that's why, but it's not easy. It take 1 day, 2 days talk to get to the point that they allow me to get in.
I think these types of strategies I would like to draw out. I asked Sam the first time we spoke if how did you explain being an artist, wanting to document what is now a private space that was once everybody's space, and that has to be a negotiation that she no longer is allowed onto that space. Do you say you're an artist? And I think that question relates so much to the context in where I work, and then also the shared context of censored space in many places, but very much in these cities in Southeast Asia. And Mossad has an interview with, I think it's Art Asia Archive, some interview, which I think applies to everyone here and many artists, is that there's two strategies always. There's your personal, if we can use the interruption pattern, your personal radar of what you want. Som's kind of quiet interest in landscape. She told me that during painting school, she was painting landscapes. Something that is quiet, maybe undefined, and how you kind of reapproach that subject as something very personal. But then on the other level, that there's always this need to bypass a lot of censorship with another message. So you have 2, 3, multiple strands of not just being able to make what you want, but really, really needing to balance and create other narratives for the people you have to collaborate with. And I like that in this case she's a researcher, but now artists are all research-based practice. So you're not lying at all.
Yeah. I actually tell them I'm an artist also, but it's on the way that I research for the artworks. Because of that institution, maybe helped me a lot as a background.
Maybe we move to Nani because also the strategies are fantastic.
I may have to stand up a bit because I don't know. I have to see what I'm actually, the slides that I'm actually preparing. Oh, this is actually an interesting project that we do. We do a lot of work besides commercial development. We also do work with local authorities, which is City Hall. And in Kuala Lumpur, this place that we're actually doing is actually right in the middle of a historic area. It is the oldest marketplace, and the inner city has problem with homelessness, homeless people, and we also have issue with like colonization of the historic area by migrant workers, which we refer to as expat, actually, you know. So, and we are always discouraged from actually engaging with urban poor and feeding them, and also engaging with the migrant community. We, in a way, the local authority is trying to create an environment as hostile as possible because they want them out of the city center. So when you engage with local authority, which are kind of like have a lot of fears, so for us, we do a lot of work, which is actually a lot of the project we do comes under one of the Malaysian government investment group, Khazanah, and their kind of agenda, social agenda, has always been about inclusion, diversity, and it's non-negotiable. So how do we actually negotiate between our certain agenda, which is all about inclusion and diversity, and local authority, which is like, none of that, please, thank you very much, you know. So what we do is like, in example, in a project like this we did, which is actually it's a different slide, but it's okay, I can keep to this slide. We did a project called Buy Nothing Day. Buy Nothing Day is a global campaign where basically it talks about it's a reaction towards consumer culture, and usually it's a day where you just don't shop, you know, and that's about it. But we kind of co-opted that kind of like international thing and decided to like, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to create a day where everybody come together, volunteer, donate, exchange services, idea for free. And in that, we welcome a lot of participation. We managed to get about 38 different partners. And in this kind of project, what we do is actually, we give the impression to the local authority, this is actually an engagement, it's about sharing ideas. There's a lot of workshop, there's a lot of people contributing cultural workshop, we have a lot of like doctors, we have like 12 lawyers giving free legal aid, etc. But really, what we really want to do privately is actually to engage and give away as much stuff as we can to the urban poor. So when we actually do a kind of like an engagement, we tell a different story to the local authority and what we tell to the public. So it's really deals with kind of like a lot of persuasion mixed with deception when we deal with authority. We tell them we're doing something else, but we're really engaging with the marginalized community. So, and we always encourage them not to come because it's kind of like really boring stuff, you know. So this is just one program. Another program that we want to do is actually engage with the migrant workers, and we feel that in this particular Buy Nothing Day, it is the local community that's actually engaging with the migrant community. In the next project we're doing, which is actually supposed to be next week, is where we actually get the migrant community to share ideas with the local community. Or we can stick back to the previous slides, doesn't matter, yeah. So, so a lot of this engagement will be like about, well, we don't want to engage with migrant community, but we say, we don't want to kind of like promote their culture in any way if possible. But because Malaysia was the chairman of the ASEAN last year, so we actually used the ASEAN platform as a way to create engagement. It is an ASEAN food festival, but it's really about the migrant worker coming out and sharing their food and actually share a lot of their culture. So sometimes we have to kind of like co-opt a government agenda and actually try and actually instill a different kind of like intent. And, you know. May I go back to the first slide? So this is actually quite a different slide. This is actually a project which we were approached by a developer that basically has actually sold everything in that development. It's a 17 acre site, 17 block. It has 1,000 apartment, 1,000 office suite, and 600 retail thing. So they basically have sold it, but the developer are just generally concerned about like, how are we going to rent this place? Because everybody bought this, it is really for investment. So how are we going to actually make money out of it? Will people come? Will people be interested in it? So we were actually originally involved as a retail strategist, but we decided that, it's way beyond retail strategy. What you need is actually to create a public space, an engaging public space. And how can that blend into a commercial interest like a shopping mall? So basically what we do is actually we start actually as an intervention. It's an urban intervention. What we did was actually demolish a lot of walls, gutted out a lot of floors and things, and actually create a series of different types of public space where different type of activity can actually be hosted. What we're looking for is also kind of like try to as many different variety of activity by different groups of people. So what we did is that in the first few years, to kind of like show the public how you do social engagement, we curate a lot of events. So probably like about 3/4 of the events are done by us. But over a period of 3 to 4 years, we only do 10%. Most of it are actually done by the community. And that's what we feel is really, really important. And it's also, hence the name Publica. And our agenda is really about creative retail. We do a lot of arts and cultural program. And more than anything, we actually have about 300 commissioned public art, because we want to actually make art part of popular culture, in the sense that you can go to any public environment and art is actually like, it's there. And we're also interested to kind of like, if we can actually, if the public can name 1 or 2 artists, that would be great for us. At the moment, they can name a pop star, they can name a sportsman, but hardly anyone can name a popular an artist.
Can I ask you to comment on the idea of, Nani said something shocking to me as a curator. She said,
is it about content?
I don't care about content.
I don't care about content. Well, what we're concerned about is actually to create a platform without prejudice. So Publica has 21 art spaces, of which like 15 are full-fledged art gallery, and the rest are all like pop-up art spaces. So we are more, because we have those premier galleries within the development that does all this kind of stuff. They actually curate stuff. They actually determine what is actually acceptable, and they're very much into the art market. So they have set standards for art. So for us, we're more interested in actually kind of like art by the public, which means we created. If I can go to the next slide. So what we've done is that we've actually do like this is actually indoor spaces where it becomes a platform. As it is, we see it as a gallery. So there's a lot of we do a lot of things where we do things like design thinking workshop. We do things like urban stuff. We do a lot of thing. And at the bottom here is actually a university doing an art crit, a public art crit, where people can come in and actually make comments about it and see, get involved with that process. So I think the next one actually is, sorry, may I do the list? We also have we have strategic, we do this kind of what we call like slightly more acupuncture surgical way of actually creating spaces which we feel are catalytic, and they can actually go beyond that space. They can actually influence a greater area. And then the last, so we do a lot of art. There are spaces, and most of the spaces activity that we do, like the 4 activity earlier that we do, are actually banned in some of our states. So we also try to kind of commission work so that, and create a safe place for them. So we are mindful about that. We are mindful that we need to expand the democratic space. And how do we do it? It's actually through an operating system that are very open and make sure that it's very accessible. So we host a lot of very controversial events and we try and make sure that they don't get into trouble. You know? So I think that's about it. I mean, that's more of it.
Thank you. It's a perfect segue to Mossad, because we were just talking about the arrest of Malaysian artists in the public space of Myanmar due to Mossad's special program. So if you can move the slides to your work and Beyond Pressure, but maybe you can speak more about Beyond Pressure.
Yeah, before talk the Beyond Pressure, I would like to mention about like public and me, because like as I mentioned, the performance art in public space very dangerous. So because the one of my colleagues did a performance in a public space, and then they got arrested 1 week. Yeah. So after that, not many people try to do the performance art in the street. Yeah.
But
so and then yeah.
could I interrupt to ask you the year that they were arrested and the kind of strategy that you tried? Because I think okay, sorry. Okay.
Yeah. So and then like 10 years ago. So, and I did the performance art event on my 25-year birthday, yeah. Because when I was teenager, have a dream, like when I 10 to the 25, I have like a stable job and house and car and wife and yeah. So the life is like that, yeah. So, but actually when I 10 to the 25, I have nothing. So I'm an artist, yeah. So that's why I think, okay, do something special on 25-year-old birthday, but I never celebrate in my birthday, yeah? So that's why I did the street performance event. So I invite to some of my colleagues, are you there to do the street performance? Most of my colleagues can say, but I got one artist we will do, and so that artist, he did, because I make a performance on the street, on the Strand Road, and in front of my grandmother house, and then so my colleagues start to do performance in the first. So that's why the authority came and tried to stop, and they say, okay, you can go because I'm living near the river, so you can go to the harbor, the jetty, the small harbor, and then go there, and then because when we cross the road, the Strand Road, the harbor is a different authority, their territory, yeah. We didn't know. Okay, we've been there. So I asked to my colleagues, so they came to, okay, let's go to the jetty and then do the performance. So, and when we arrived there, it's really dark, so there is no light. But I saw there one street vendor. He have a trolley and he have a lighting. I think okay, I will buy your snack because he's selling the boiling peanut. I'm buying you snack, but please stand your trolley in here because I need the light to performance, yeah? So I do some performance. So in the middle of my performance, so one authority came and tried to stop. But I didn't stop, I keep on doing because I already think that so tonight is my special day. So that's why before I do performance, I take a shower long time, 1 hour, because I'm not sure I can be sleep at my room. Tonight I have to be still in the jail or something like that. So that's why I take a shower and then I invite also all the relatives and yeah. So I did, and so the authorities stop, and then I'm keep on doing, and then also my colleague record the photo and video. So and then he also tried to there is no record, and yeah. So later, and then he really angry. He cannot stop to me, and then he really angry. So there's some of my colleagues came and Jose, you should stop now, yeah, because he's really angry. And okay, I said, okay, yeah, I stop, and what should I do? I come to the office, and then at that time also my cousin I've got arrested, and then they back to my grandma's house, and then bring all my uncle and auntie came to the office, yeah. So and then. Okay, but luckily because that authority and my auntie is a friend in high school, yeah. So and then later, okay, this is my nephew, and then later I give him money, and then I can go. But yeah, so it's my early the public experience in 10 years ago. So the second one is in the 2012, yeah. We did the one project is performance art exchange program, like Myanmar and Malaysia performance artists. So the 5 Myanmar artists been to the KL and then do project in the Awi, and then later we all the bring back to the Malaysia artists, and we did in the performance in the Mandalay. Mandalay is the second city in Yangon, it's cultural city. Because at that time, it's like 2012, like a year after the country is a change. So before the 2010, we live in the dictatorship, so we need to apply the permit to do the performance. But when the country is a change, I'm also a big foreign to and apply to the permit. So I also want to try to test are we really change the country or yeah. So that's why I try to do the performance without the permit on the street. So we did the performance in front of the Mandalay Palace, yeah. So we have a slide. No, no. No, back. Yeah. So this is the one I did the performance. I'm writing like Myanmar, the like MYEMMEM. So my performance like try to redefinition of the what is the Myanmar. So I asked to the audience. So what is the M for like? The people say, oh, this is a motherland. So it's like some people say, okay, I write okay M for motherland, like and for like some people say like a mohinga. Mohinga is a traditional soup in Myanmar. Like, so I try to define the meaning of the Myanmar. Like some people say R or like Rohingya, like the boat people. Yeah, so it's like that. And then the policeman came and stopped us, and then after that, we've been to the police station and we have to decide, okay, we will not do performance without the permit. And then next day, we've been to another town to like a picnic. And then I got a call from the immigration officer. He said, hey, Moses, where are you now? I said, I'm heading to the Mingong. Mingong is near the Mandalay. It's like 1 hour drive because Mingong have like a big bell, like why not like that largest bell in the wall, yeah. So we've been there, and he said, "Oh, can you come back?" And then I think, oh, this is they want to arrest. So I think, no, I don't want to come back. If you want to arrest, you can come and arrest me. Why I have to go and arrest you? And then he said, oh, they are follow like a car with like 2 cars, and they reach to the Mingong bell. And they say, okay, come back, and we have to be come back with the 2 car. And then, yeah. So, and then later they say, oh, we have to be deported to the Malaysia artist, but we didn't do for the Myanmar artist. Okay, you can go back home. So they rent the car for the special, because Mandalay to Yangon, they rent the car, and then with the government money, and then later they deport to the Malaysia artist. And then next week, and then we already back to Yangon. Next week, I got a phone call from the police officer. He said, oh, Moses, you have to be calm because the government sued to you. You have to be calm. I said, no, if you want to be arrested, you come to be arrested to me in Yangon. Why I have to come back to the Mandalay? Because it's like 365 kilometer, yeah? So it's far, yeah? So, and then, but 2 of my colleagues in the Mandalay, they come, oh, Moses, you have to become, because you are the organizer, and then also they arrest to them. And then later we go there, and also we have a police station, and then we sign, and then they say, okay, next week we are suing to you, you have to come to the court, and yeah. So that the thing is very highlight in the Myanmar, because it's like when the countries are changing, and then the government sued to the artists to doing the art, yeah. So, and then that is why we have really fight out to we make a press conference, and as to the many media, and we talk about, oh, what is mean the democratic now? So are we really democratic, or it's like even the junta time, the junta didn't arrest to the artists doing the art. So now the so-called democratic government arrest to the artists, and then so the many media writing about our case, and also I got the many phone call from like a writer union and like poet union. So they say, oh, we are stand for you. So this is not your kid. This is our kid. If they arrest easy to the artist, they can be arrest all the artists. Even I got a phone call from my enemy, like my enemy, the artist. They say, oh, Moses, we stand you, and yeah. So and then, yeah, so that is why we are really fight out, and also we send to the letter to the president, and so really hot in Saudi Asia, and then also some of my friends from like a performing artist friend, like the Chumbo and Lee Wan, so they, oh, we have to do the campaign in here. I said, no need to do right now. You have to wait. We have to wait to the answer from the court. So are they really? We have to put in the jail. So that's the sentence is like 1 day to 3 years they can put in the G, yeah. So, but we have many media writing. Later on, it's really kind of the magic. It's just so because it means that they are government not really there to arrest the artists, yeah. Yeah, move on. Yeah, so the project I did the 2 year in Yangon. So Beyond Pressure Public Art Festival. So we invite us the street artists, like a graffiti artist, and also we did like a video event on the bus, yeah. Yeah. So and this one is quite interesting work. It's done by the Thai artist. So because in the public part, you can see the many couple are dating and then they are hiding with the umbrella and then like kissing or do something, yeah. So that's why the Thai artist making the room for the couple like a private room, but like a half private because put in with like a transparency paper and then there, so you can see that, yeah. But you have a like half private and half public, yeah.
I like to see how, similar to Nani, this is very open. Mossad is the curator and organizer of the festival, but as the years go by, and from the very beginning, it's always been open. So whoever internationally would like to participate, where there's another performance-based festival that's very kind of private and more by invitation and more based with Burmese artists. So this has always been open, and I mean, just looking at the evolution of the content and that idea of like open content or allowing content, whatever content happens to happen, and then trying to mediate in that public-private space that is pretending to be public. So I think that relationship is very interesting. There's a lot of other images we're not really covering, but to move to Anon is a very different type of thinking about public and private and community work. And I think when you look at such a work, which is down in the forum, without any kind of supportive text, you could never really arrive at the conclusion of the thoughts behind the making of this work. So I think when we think about the interruption pattern and on all kind of scales with this work, from the village level to the forum of an art fair, I think it's a story worth telling.
I think human is very funny for me. When you don't have public space, when you have a lot of public space, you need private space. When you have enough private space, but you never enough for public space again. So it will be like this. Long time. When you consider, so that means how what is balance for needs, like demand, supply, and humans need everything what we want. One project what I do for this is there. I start with to work with local peoples in northern part, Chiang Rai, close to Myanmar. And I think they stay in a village around the mountains, really big space, but they feel they are a very small village in the world because it's separate from Bangkok. But they not suffer anything because they have rice, they have chicken, they have food, they have fresh strawberries, they have everything in Chiang Rai. I think because and before I visit, I think when I just everything is too different for Bangkok. Not enough Wi-Fi and 4G to use Instagram. But for their life, I think they stay with the good waiters. But for but for them, they feel like a little house of their families is not important in this world. So every day in the mornings, the father and husband they will go to the rice farm to work like a man-made. So for the wife, they will group each other to make cookings or bigger works together. So some of the product they will send to the Chiang Mai or souvenirs, make a basket long time ago. So I'm curious why they think about that. Why life like this is like a slow life. So it's different from the high speed life in urbanization, big cities. But why they feel never respect their own life. They make a good price, good food, sent to the big city many years. And the next generation, they feel this job is not cool enough. It's not fashionista anymore. Yeah. So their daughter, their son, they want to open internet cafe more than bigger work because it's look update lifestyle. So one program what I talk with them, I think for me art is not for myself or for artists only. Art is not for collectors only. Art is for everyone. Good joy. Art is an empty land to bring everyone to critique, to share ideas, to remind something together what we are now. And if art is for everyone, why this family enjoy us? So I ask the question to them, if they can choose something important for their life, or maybe it's not important, something what they want to do in their life. They want to make something their son proud to show off to their friend. They want to do something like extraordinary. So what's that? They have the calendars on the walls. Ferrari calendar from supermarket, maybe 7-Eleven or something. So why not to try? So this program, I said, why you want to make Ferrari? Because they think they make the cheap things. Their son, it's not. They came to show to tell their friend what mom and dad do for life. So, but I think they're good proud. They want to do something for their son, proud in themselves. And I think that thing is very important for me. Maybe it's not for everyone, for son, for daughter, for someone to happy. And I think it's good inspiration for everyone also to see their life. For me, this is look like Ferrari, but I think it's a big basket because indeed the detail is still basket. I feel like the body is like a masculine body, but the detail is like a feminine details. So I love to see the revolution from this because they never see the real Ferrari before. I never have Ferrari in Chiang Mai. Maybe have, I'm not sure. But I think so. They make it from imagination, from dream. So I think Ferrari done don't know the version of this design also. And some detail they make from something by their own bamboo, and some wood that what they found, some part of old car to joy, and so I think one thing like in the first month start from the small family, and after then to be more family joy, and after then another village take the pickup, the truck to see this family what they do, and after is bigger. Some week 30 people come together to help each other, because it's like it's a special thing in my village. We could help each other. It's not about money, or it's not about to create something for mass production. It's totally different from car, but they think this is like representative for their life. And I think if they make something nice, maybe somebody will keep it until they die. So I think I love to see people help each other, send the passion to another person. And when I saw their son and their daughter come to help mom and dad take a photo together, I think I feel something like this is good coming back to our world. So I think craft and cultures, how they survive, maybe it's not about capitalism, but it's about value in quality of that things. It's about attitude to the people also.
Yeah, the time is well over, so I thank you for your attention, your patience, for being here, and especially for all the participants. Thank you.